Good afternoon, all my friends and family here. This is RHAK Vandy. RHAK Vandy's Life Lessons coming back at you. This video now is going to be a pickup from the first two videos that I've made talking about how the tongue speaks life and death. And that if we speak good things, normally good things will happen. But if we speak bad things, those things come into existence as well. And we want to be aware of the things that we speak. I know a lot of my friends have been, talking and calling, and they're like, "You got a job, but you didn't make a video about it, or you didn't tell us you had a job. When did you get the job?" But God is really good. He does things, and we don't know how and why, but He does it and works things out for us. If you remember in the videos, the first two videos about the power of the tongue, I had told you about how I had my dream job and everything was going great. I was making almost six figures and living a life and traveling the world and doing all these great things. And then all of a sudden it was taken away from me. And I was sleeping on friends' couches and had to move back home with my dad to restart and try to, get myself together and find out what was needed to be done in Rakeem's life. And God, he answers you in the craziest ways, and you think you might be finished or on the end of a rope somewhere, but He always sends something to save you. And I thank my pastor, Horatio Harris, because he gave me some good words of wisdom. He said, "Rock, the best way to find a job is working at the church. Start working for the Lord, and He'll help you in the things that you want and the things that you need." And back in September, he came and started pastoring at one of the local New Birth churches here. And me, knowing him for 10 plus years, and maybe even more, but we met when we were going both to New Birth South um, in Atlanta. He was an elder there, and he was always real good, a great guy, always talked really nice to me, and we always just got along real well. Well, um, we really didn't keep in touch because he left New Birth South and went back to the New Birth Cathedral, and time passed and things changed, and life goes on. But when I heard that he was coming to pastor at the local church here in Charlotte, I said, I gotta go. I know what type of man he is. I know he's a stand-up man and has stand-up character. So I started going to the church. Um, a few weeks passed by, and he told me, he said, "Rock, I can use some help around here." Um, the air conditioning and the heating unit were all ran by a computer system. Um, a lot of people had left the church. There was some problems with the facilities and things going on. So he asked me to start helping the elder who was there, Elder Long, who was running the facilities. Being that he knew I knew about computers, I'm good with computers, and um, I got things going. We got the heat on during the wintertime. When it got too hot, we got the air going, and I just started working at the church. I was unemployed, didn't have anything else better to do except sit at the house and watch Maury and Game Show Network with my dad all day. So I was like, I'm not doing this. So I really got heavily involved with the church, and that started back in September. Um, the church was planning to move because the facility that it was in was too big. The congregation was kind of smaller, and it was best that they leave that church and go to a smaller church. And they had a certain time frame for that. We packed things up, we moved things. All during my day, I would go to the church, usually about 10, 11 o'clock in the morning, and some days I'll stay till 8, 9 o'clock at night, packing. And if we had church service, I would try to help with the church service and all those different kind of things. And at the same time, I was sitting there at the computers applying for jobs, looking for jobs, and just on the lookout. Well, I was doing safety work, temporary safety work, and it was hit and miss. I would get some jobs, and it would be for a week, or might get a job, and it's a month or two, but um, it wasn't a constant long-term thing where I wanted something with insurance and benefits for my kids and for myself and all those different kind of things. So one day I went into my favorite grocery store, Publix, because they had just started building some Publix here in the Charlotte area, and they had a sign, help wanted, store clerks and all this different kind of stuff, but it said to look online. So went home that night, I looked online, and they had a trainer position here in Charlotte. So I was like, God, what are you trying to tell me? Because 10 years ago when I lived in Atlanta, I had thought about working for Publix because it's a great store, great reputation. I really liked the place, but I always thought to myself, who would want to work at a grocery store and work there all your life? Well, you would be amazed how many millionaires are made from Publix. Store managers range in the six-figure category. It's a great place to work, and it's a great company. Learned that doing all my research. So while I was researching, I applied for the trainer's position here in Charlotte. That was in January. About a week, not even a week later, I got a phone call saying that they needed me to go online and update my information because I put RJ because it's easier to pronounce than Raheem. So I usually put RJ on my applications. They wanted my full name and all this kind of stuff. That was on a Wednesday. I went online that day, fixed everything. Thursday, the lady was calling me back. She said that I should hear from them within about a week or two. The next week, they were calling me to set up for an interview. I was like, wow, man. I had been to a lot of different interviews, different things around the area, and they all seemed to go well, so I wasn't really getting my hopes up, but I was praying and hoping. So February, my daughter had to have surgery. So I was going to go to see my fiance in Texas, and I was going to go back and see my daughter in Louisiana. But on the way out to Texas, I got a phone call saying they wanted to set up an interview with me, and they were going to email me all the information. So I'm driving, and I'm looking at my phone, and I'm trying to get all this stuff set up, and they wanted to have an interview with me on February the 18th, which is my birthday. I said, God, what are you trying to tell me? Everything was just really kind of crazy because I got to my daughter's surgery. Well, no, I'm sorry. I went to Texas first. Stayed in Texas for a few days. Saw my fiance. We had a great time. Went to the movies, all this good stuff. And I had to leave because my daughter had surgery on the 16th. So I drove back to Louisiana 5 hours. I slept in my car. I waited in the hospital parking lot to find where my daughter was. Went and saw her have surgery. Everything was great. Then her and her mother and myself, we went out to lunch, and I got right back on the road, coming back to Charlotte. I made it on the 17th here. I had my interview on the 18th. It all seemed to go well, except my manager. He's a Army person, and he had this straight, no smile, kind of like stern look on his face, and I felt like I interviewed well. I thought I interviewed well, but he just has a great poker face. And I went out and celebrated with some of my church family and church friends and my dad and my sister, and I just left it at that. Well, a week later, I got a phone call saying that they wanted me to take some more assessments and some more tests. But at the same time, our church was preparing their final days in the building that they had. To make a long story short, the day that my church signed the papers to move out of their old building into the new building, 6 o'clock that day, my manager called and offered me a position with Publix. I can't tell you what to believe, how to feel, but I know God did it for me. There's no doubt in my mind. I worked at that church from September until February, mid-February, almost into March, nonstop. And I know that because of my faithfulness and because of the things that I learned and the people that I helped, God opened up a door for me. Now, I can't turn my testimony around. I can't lie, and I can't make this up. You can ask anyone. You can ask my pastor, ask my manager. This is step by step how it happened. And this is why my faith in the Lord doesn't waver, doesn't shake. People come into my life, people leave out of my life, but I know that God will always be by me. And that's the reason I started these videos. One of the reasons is to try to give people inspiration and to know, if you don't know the Lord, try to find him. If you don't believe in the Lord, do the right thing. Live life right. If you can continue to do things correctly, excuse me, do things the right way. Try to live as if there was a God. Even if you don't believe in God, you can still live as if there is. Do the right thing. You'll be rewarded. But as I told you, this is the second video for the day, so let me put back on my good Mets hat. About to get up out of here. So, got one more video coming for you if I got enough time. Got to get some things ready. I got to get my dad a Father's Day gift. But happy Father's Day to all the dads out there. Make sure you take care of your kids. That's the reason you are a father. So, all right, RHAK VANDY, life lessons, over and out.